Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Society. We are grateful to gather on this beautiful morning, both in person and online, for a time of inspiration, reflection, and connection. Whether you join us today with joy in your heart, weighted with burdens, or searching for meaningful connections, we are glad that you're here. I'm Marcia Cheney, a worship associate and member of the Unitarian Universalist Society, and my pronouns are she, her. I'm a white woman of average height with long brown and purple hair, standing in UUS's pulpit at the front of our sanctuary. Our sanctuary is filled with people of all ages. Through the window walls of our sanctuary, we connect to the outdoors, where it is becoming blue skies again, with light wispy clouds and raindrops still sparkling on the leaves and flowers after the much-needed rain. As we gather, we give thanks for this land and all who have cared for it over the centuries, particularly the Kickapoo, the Iowa, the Sauk and the Meskwaki, and the Oceti-Sakowin nations. As people of many ages, genders, races, sexual orientations, classes, abilities, and health statuses, we know how important it is to come together as a radically welcoming spiritual community. As Unitarian Universalists, our faith expresses our core value of love through how we agree to be together and to support each other. We are guided by the shared principles and sources of our living religious tradition. This morning, as we reflect on the joy born of repetition, we will celebrate and explore our interconnection to one another and the world around us. If you're newer to our congregation, we invite you to learn more about us after the service. For those here in person, you can talk to a greeter in the atrium, and for those online, there's a link to a visitor form in the YouTube notes that will let us know to connect with you. Our call to worship this morning is by Margaret Weiss. Come into this place. Come into this place with your whole self, the parts that are raw and exposed, the part that is beaming with joy, the part that is seeking the truth, the new, the possibility. Come into this place, open your heart, lay down your burden, lift up your hope for something new to happen. Come into this place with fellow travelers on the journey, some faces new and others familiar, and all welcoming you here, now, to this moment. Come, let us worship together. And our opening hymn is number 347, Gather the Spirit.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Alex Eatland. I'm your music director. And we have Gather the Spirit. If you have your gray hymnals, which I don't think anybody does, it is number 347. But the words are also, one person does. Yeah, two people. But the words are also on the screen. I invite you to rise in body and spirit as we sing together, Gather in the Spirits. Gather the Spirit, harvest the power, our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour, trials in this light appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy while and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit of heart and mind, seeds for the sowing are laid in store, nurtured in love and conscience refined, our body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion, and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit growing in all, drawn by the moon and fed by the sun, winter to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion, and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Thank you.
As Unitarian Universalists, we light a flame within a chalice as a symbol of sanctuary and safety, to unite us in our worship and to remind us of our ongoing search for the light of truth. Please join me in saying our chalice lighting words as May lights our chalice. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the wonder and mystery of this great gift. So let us now kindle the flame of our liberal religious heritage and renew our covenant of mutual love and care. Love is our doctrine, the quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, and to serve those in need. This we promise, this we covenant with life and one another. Each week we light a candle for justice and healing to acknowledge our interdependence with the natural world and with all members of the global community, especially the most vulnerable. We light this candle so that we may not be numbed to injustice and trauma, but rather find strength, courage, and love as we work in solidarity with others for liberation, justice, and healing. Together, we create resilience and hope. Today, as we light this candle, we're particularly mindful of those affected by the wildfires burning across Canada and in parts of the UUS. While we've had a short period of poor air quality here in the past week or two, there are many who have lost their homes, their livelihoods, and even their lives. Let us also be grateful for the international response by firefighters who have come to help the efforts to bring these fires under control. As I light this candle, let's hold a time of silence to listen to our hearts and bodies, or perhaps lift up prayers.
Okay, now can you hear me? Okay. Hi, I'm Verdith. I'm a short white woman sitting in a chair in front of the children's area. and today we're going to read the story, The Dot, by Peter H. Reynolds. And I have the story here, but you can also see it up on the screen. The Dot. I see we have some colors here, people who like to do art. This is a story about somebody who didn't like to do art. Art class was over, but Vashti sat glued to her chair. Her paper was empty. Vashti's teacher leaned over the blank paper. "Ah, a polar bear in a snowstorm," she said. "Very funny," said Vashti. "I just can't draw." The teacher smiled. "Just make a mark and see where it takes you." Vashti grabbed a marker and gave the paper a good, strong jab. There. Her teacher picked up the paper and studied it carefully. She pushed the paper toward Vashti and quietly said, "Now sign it." Vashti thought for a moment, "Well, maybe I can't draw, but I can sign my name." The next week, when Vashti walked into art class, she was surprised to see what was hanging above her teacher's desk. It was the little dot she had drawn, her dot, all framed in swirly gold. I can make a better dot than that. She opened her never-before-used set of watercolors and set to work. Vashti painted and painted, a red dot, a purple dot, a yellow dot, a blue dot. The blue mixed with the yellow. She discovered that she could make a green dot. Vashti kept experimenting with lots of little dots in many colors. If I can make little dots, I can also make big dots too. Vashti splashed her colors with a bigger brush on bigger paper to make bigger dots. Vashti even made a dot by not painting a dot. At the school art show a few weeks later, Vashti's many dots made quite a splash. Vashti noticed a little boy gazing up at her. "You're a really great artist. I wish I could draw," he said. "I bet you can," said Vashti. "Me? No, not me. I can't draw a straight line with a ruler." Vashti smiled. She handed the boy a black sheet of paper. "Show me." The boy's pencil shook as he drew his line. Vashti stared at the boy's squiggles, and then she said, "Please sign it." Do you think the boy started making some more and more squiggles after that? All right, thank you.
All right, ready? Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility. Aye, 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 aye. Aye, 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 aye. One more time. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibilities. Aye, 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 aye.
As we enter into our time of meditation, contemplation, and prayer, we acknowledge the joys and sorrows of our congregation. We do this by dropping stones into a bowl of water, symbolically immersing our personal joys and sorrows into the flow of all life's joys and sorrows. The water surrounds and holds the stone just as we are surrounded and held by the love and support of this congregation. If you're participating in our service elsewhere, you may wish to meditatively hold a stone, wash your hands, or meditate on an object near you. And now, if you're in the sanctuary, please come forward, take a stone from the basket, and place your stone in the water as we sing.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well, may I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole, may you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well, may you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well, may you be peaceful and at ease. May you be whole, may we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well, may we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well, may we be peaceful and at ease. May we be whole.
May we hold the joys and sorrows of our congregation and the wider community tenderly in our hearts and minds today and in the coming days. When we need a listening ear or a heart or a helping hand, may we reach out. And when we know of needs, may we offer support with loving kindness. For it is in sharing our lives, our cares and our joys, and in giving and receiving that we know community most fully, that we have the opportunity to live our covenant with one another. Amen, and blessed be. Today we're going to extend our time of meditation and contemplation together in the practice of a loving kindness meditation. The pattern for this meditation comes from Buddhist teachings as a way to practice one of the 4 foundational virtues. There will be sections of the meditation that we will repeat together. The words will be shown on the screen. I will read them aloud the first time, then the second time we say them together. And then there will be some time for you to repeat them on your own, aloud or in your mind. So take a moment to get comfortable in your seat. Take note of being present in your body and your environment. Breathe. Take your time. Notice how your body accommodates each breath. Settle in. Turn your focus to the heart. Feel or imagine your beating heart with gratitude and warmth. Call to mind a person of past or present whose steady love and unconditional acceptance of you touches your heart in a special way. Allow yourself to experience their loving kindness as if they were right near you, happy for your presence and grateful for you, just as you are. Notice how this image eases your body and your mind. Relax into this warm feeling of connection. Keep it simple. Allow thoughts to arise and evaporate and come back to the heart. Take your time. Now put this loving kindness and warmth that you are receiving into words. If helpful, you can imagine that these kind thoughts are what the person you've been called to mind wants for you, and picture that they are wishing them with you. May I be well. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be at peace. May I be filled with love and kindness. Now you say them with me. May I be well. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be at peace. May I be filled with love and kindness. Repeat the wishes at least 3 times, out loud or in your mind. Take your time and savor the words. Feel their ability to warm and open the heart. May I be well. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be at peace. May I be filled with love and kindness. May I be well. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be at peace. May I be filled with love and kindness. May I be well. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be at peace. May I be filled with love and kindness. Next, bring to mind someone who means a lot to you, someone in whose presence you can relax and be fully appreciated for who you are. Feel the goodness of this heart connection. Feel your mutual gratitude. As you offer your well wishes, imagine that the person is touched by them and experiences happiness and peace. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be at peace. May you be filled with love and kindness. Now you say them with me. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be at peace. May you be filled with love and kindness. Repeat the wishes at least 3 times, out loud or in your mind. Appreciate the sincerity of the words. Feel their ability to warm and open the heart. Take your time. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be at peace. May you be filled with love and kindness. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be at peace. May you be filled with love and kindness. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be at peace. May you be filled with love and kindness. Next, bring to mind someone you've met casually, someone you recognize but don't really know. A school crossing guard, the person who manages the produce department at your grocery store, a neighbor you nod to as you go for a walk in the evening. As you think of them, wish them well. Repeat the same words and imagine that they receive the full benefit of them. Gone their aches and pains, material worries, concerns about the future. Imagine that as your wishes touch them, their hearts and minds are at ease. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be at peace. May you be filled with love and kindness. Now together. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be at peace. May you be filled with love and kindness. Repeat the wishes at least 3 times. Appreciate the sincerity of the words. Feel their ability to warm and open the heart. Take your time. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be at peace. May you be filled with love and kindness. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be at peace. May you be filled with love and kindness. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be at peace. May you be filled with love and kindness. Now imagine someone you don't care for. It could be someone you know personally, or someone you know of and who triggers your antipathy. You may think of this person as unworthy of your kind consideration. As you evoke them in your mind's eye, try to let go of your antipathy. It may help to imagine them as they were when they were a young, vulnerable child, before things became so difficult. Can you include them in your well wishes? May you be well. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be at peace. May you be filled with love and kindness. Now together. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be at peace. May you be filled with love and kindness. Repeat the wishes at least 3 times. Appreciate the words. Feel their ability to warm and open your heart. Take your time. Finally, include as many people and animals as you can in your wishes, happy or sad, loved or neglected, in good health or in poor health, in all stages of life. Without making a particular effort to envision them separately, simply maintain awareness of the presence of all these beings who share your planet and send them your wishes with a sincere and tender heart. May all beings be well. May all beings be safe. May all beings be happy. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be filled with love and kindness. One more time together. May all beings be well. May all beings be safe. May all beings be happy. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be filled with love and kindness. Repeat the wishes at least 3 times. Appreciate the words. Feel their ability to warm and open the heart. Imagine that your practice brings about deep healing for yourself and others. Take your time. Now return your awareness of being present in this space, connecting to all of these people. Breathe into that feeling for a moment. Maintaining the sense of presence to the best of your ability, simply sit. Wrap up your loving kindness meditation with a sense of gratitude that might be expressed through a gesture, hands in the prayer position, a bow, a deep breath in and out, or whatever might feel appropriate to you.
Hello. My name is Kezia Walker-Cecil, and I'm a member here at UUS. I'm a tall human with red hair that's up in a bun, fair skin, and glasses. Today I'm wearing a pretty basic black and white ensemble, and I use she and they pronouns. This past spring, I was able to attend the Share the Pulpit class that was led by Reverend Diana, and today's reflection was born out of that class. I'm glad that I got a chance to revisit this reflection again because the lessons in it are ones that I need to be reminded of on a regular basis. If you haven't been able to tell, the lesson is something about repetition. Before I started first grade, my parents told me that I wouldn't have time to read once I started school. They were 100% teasing, but I took that warning very seriously. I had to read as many books as possible before starting school. My sibling, just younger than me, often accompanied me in my reading adventures while our older sisters were doing big girl things. They'd sit nearby as I read aloud, making my way through the Little House series. I distinctly remember reading the story where Pa Ingalls was chased on his horse by a panther through the woods at night. I finished the chapter where Pa told the story and looked up to see my sibling with eyes wide in wonder and fear. "Was that too scary?" I said. "Yes," they whispered. "Read it again." I had to get in as much reading as I could, so I turned back the pages and started the chapter again. Many of you have probably had an experience like this. A child brings you a favorite story, and you sit down together. You start at the beginning, and you read to the end. You're all ready to stop, but the kid takes the book, flips it over, back to the beginning. Again, read it again. Children learn quickly that there's a delight in repetition. They want to hear the same cadence of the same words in the same order over and over again. G.K. Chesterton observed that, quote, "Because children have abounding vitality, because their spirits are fierce and free, therefore they want things repeated and unchanged. They always say, 'Do it again,' and the grown-up person does it again until he is nearly dead." This quote points out that the delight in repetition we have as children loses its shine as we get older. We bemoan the songs stuck in our head. We chase after newer and shinier things. We look at repetition as a recipe for boredom or even insanity. Today, I want to challenge the idea that repetition is boring and bland, and I want to push back against the idea that ritual and structure are necessarily drab. Instead, I want to remind us that repetition can foster beauty, love, and connection. Sometimes when I'm sitting down to draw or write, I get really disappointed in myself when my first attempts are a little bit awful, or a lot awful. Somehow I got it in my head that beautiful things in life just emerge fully formed without effort, that discipline is for chumps, and the romance of true art is its spontaneity. It is true that beautiful things can sometimes creep up on us, emerging out of the dark like tiny fireflies on a summer evening. But more often, beauty is the result of hard work, practice, and, you guessed it, repetition. We saw an example of how repetition and practice can bring joy in creating art in our time for all ages. Vashti created art that brought her joy and fulfillment. Her art also brought delight and inspiration to the people around her. This began with her art teacher asking her to do something very simple, drawing a dot. This is a fictional story, but one that is echoed in real-life stories of many, many artists. I personally love going to art museums. My favorite section is wherever they keep the Impressionist paintings. Bonus points if it includes paintings by Claude Monet. Most of us have a passing familiarity with Monet's water lilies. This is the name for a huge series of paintings with bold brush strokes and dreamlike color palettes of lily pads floating on a reflective surface. I remember the first time I saw some of Monet's water lilies in a museum. On a wide white wall, there was a series of 4 or 5 canvases, all paintings of water lilies, all by Monet. They took my breath away. While the subject matter was the same across the paintings, each painting had its own color palette and scale. One painting was just the surface of the water and the lilies floating on and reflected in it. Another painting showed the edges of the pond. Another, the shadows of the overhanging trees. One even included a sunlit bridge. Up until that point in my life, I hadn't put a lot of thought into painting as an art form. But these variations on a water lily theme sparked a new interest in my brain. I already knew that I liked variations on a theme in writing and in music, but it was fascinating to see it play out in living color on these larger-than-life canvases. When I turned around from the water lily paintings to take in the rest of the room, a series of paintings on the opposite wall caught my attention. Turns out, these paintings were also by Monet. They were part of his series of London riverscapes, and a pair of the paintings in particular grabbed my eye. The paintings were of the exact same scene. The shape and scale of the paintings were the same. It was the same bridge over the same river with the same arches and landmarks on either side of the river. But the mood shifted drastically between the two paintings. One felt dank and close and was barely lit by gas lantern light. The other was ethereal and magical as sunlight barely edged its way through gentle fog to the surface of the water, which sparkled. In that moment, I suddenly had a favorite painting and painter, Claude Monet. Monet was obsessive in his painting. He painted the same subjects over and over in different lights, at different times of day, with different color palettes and different types of brush strokes. He painted the water lilies in his garden pond literally hundreds of times. He also has a famous series of over 20 paintings of haystacks at different times of year, in snow, in summer sunshine, at dusk, at dawn. The first time I saw that Monet exhibit, I was 13 years old. But the same thing draws me back to his paintings today. I could sit for hours in a museum and just look at the same series of paintings of the same subject matter, meditating just as Monet did on the play of light on water, on the shapes of water lilies, on the different emotions that can be evoked by slight changes in a color scheme. At the end of his life, Monet was nearly blind, but he was still painting water lilies. At this point, his paintings had become more and more abstract, focusing on the play between light and color than on the shapes of the things he painted. But these paintings still capture the essence of water lilies on a pond. Monet had painted the lilies so many times that he understood the soul of his lily pond. He practiced over and over again the art of seeing the lilies. And when I stand in front of his canvases today, I can feel the love and discipline that he poured into his work as he painted the same scene again and again. Monet's work shows us that repetition can lead to art, to innovation, to understanding the world at a deeper level than we ever could have if we'd only sat down one time to paint the water lilies. Last year, my partner and I started going to relationship counseling. We weren't on the verge of a breakup or anything, but we needed a little refresher on how to talk to each other and how to love each other after a decade of marriage. My big complaint going into counseling was that my partner isn't romantic. He doesn't do romantic things like send me random bouquets of flowers or plan elaborate date nights. He thinks it is perfectly acceptable to go to the same restaurant and order the same meal every Sunday after church for years. I, on the other hand, feel like the best way to get the most out of life is to be fun, adventurous, and spontaneous. This, I thought, is where romance can be found. While spontaneity can be lovely, the most romantic thing to come out of marriage counseling was actually something I would have labeled boring or uninspired. This is the romantic thing. Every 2 weeks, on a Thursday, we go to lunch. That's it. We take an hour off of work, leave the house, eat, and talk. This seems way too simple and the opposite of my ideals of romantic behavior. But every time date lunch pops up on the calendar, I feel loved. There's something deeply swoon-worthy about having a permanent place on my partner's calendar. No matter how busy the week is or whatever else we have going on, we carve out that hour and eat food together. Usually it's pretty delicious. Sometimes I forget that it's already been 2 weeks since the last date lunch, and I'm pleasantly surprised by the event. Other times we plan ahead for days what we're going to eat that day for lunch. Will we try something new? Will we go back to an old favorite? Sometimes our date lunch Sometimes our date lunch is short because someone has to rush back to a scheduled work call. And other times we stretch out our time together and go for a walk or do some window shopping. With this regular ritual in our relationship, I've learned that romance and spontaneities aren't always synonymous. Sometimes repetition has a way of syncing our heartbeats in a way that surprise flowers and sweeping gestures could never do. To be honest, Cole's steadiness and practicality were what made me fall in love with him in the first place. The first line in our wedding vows is, "I choose you," present tense, because every day is a choice to wake up and love your person. Having date lunch on repeat reminds us of this choice as we step away from all the crazy to just be together. This regularly scheduled romantic programming is just the kind of grounding that I need in order to feel loved and chosen. This simple ritual of setting aside time for each other deepens and reinforces our love in a way that is only possible through repetition and practice. I should have remembered the power of repetition from my childhood. All of my siblings and I, there are 7 of us, studied violin or cello with the Suzuki method. This method of musical education introduces children to their instrument very early in life and relies on daily practice, heavy parental involvement, and a disciplined approach to the repertoire. By the time I started violin lessons, all 3 of my older sisters had already been playing for a few years. I couldn't wait to be able to play the same pieces I'd heard them practice. The Suzuki method requires both review of the repertoire and group practice, so when I was learning my first real songs of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star and Lightly Row, my sisters had to play with me as part of their practice too. When each of my 3 younger siblings started playing, I had to join their practice and play those beginning songs over again. These songs connected us as a family, and they also connected us to the larger Suzuki community. Every couple years, my family would attend a Suzuki Institute. These events are basically a week-long music camp with individual lessons, group lessons, recitals, and occasional breaks to learn new things that aren't exactly music. The biggest event for a Suzuki Institute, though, is the final concert. It's on the last day of camp. Everyone wears black and white. At the beginning of the concert, everybody gets up on stage. Tallest students in the back, tiniest ones in the front, and these are like tiny, tiny little humans. It takes a little bit of jostling before everyone finds their mark, but then silence falls as we all focus on the teacher up front. She leads us in the measured 1, 2, 3 of moving our violins from rest position to playing position. She raises her violin in a dramatic nod, and on the downbeat, the opening rhythm of the opening first twinkle variation emerges from dozens of instruments. We work our ways through 1 or 2 variations before playing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star as an ensemble. Once this is done, the newest learners, aka the Twinklers, leave the stage because Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star is the only song they know. Then the group plays Lightly Row, after which more students leave the stage. The program goes through progressively more difficult songs, and students leave the stage when they've reached their limit. By the end of the concert, a handful of older students are left to play a Bach double violin concerto, splitting the parts between the less advanced and the more advanced students. But here's the secret about a Suzuki concert. The big moment is not that most difficult piece or the last student standing. The big moment is when everybody's on stage playing together. All sizes of string instruments twinkling together for the 100th time just that week. That moment is the culmination of the community we built together all that week, bringing in the new twinklers into our tradition of playing together and bonding us across instruments and skill levels. Last December, a friend invited me to her house for caroling. "Bring your violin," she said. So I did. Some friends that I hadn't seen in a couple years showed up, and we got to meet their kids for the first time. Their older kid was a little preschooler, so I knelt down on the floor to show him how a violin works. He didn't quite know what to make of it or me until I started playing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And his face lit up like the proverbial Christmas tree. That's his favorite song, his dad said. So I played it again. His little face just kept glowing with recognition and delight. I don't remember how many times I repeated the song, but his parents gently started telling him that it was someone else's turn to pick the music. Both me and the toddler were disappointed to end our little bonding moment. I don't know how many times I've played Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star or its variations, but every time I play that song, I feel connected to my family, past and present, to my sisters, to my nephews, to my teachers and parents, to a new generation of children and musicians. And with every repetition, that bond grows stronger. Practice and repetition can feel extremely unsexy or the antithesis of art. Spontaneity can feel like the height of romanticism. But then I have to remember that Monet painted the same haystacks and water lilies dozens and dozens of times. I remember that lunch dates make my marriage better every single time. I remember that practicing and playing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star connects me to my family and to a global community. Repetition doesn't have to be boring. Repetition can open our eyes to the beauty around us. It can enrich how we express love to one another. Repetition can strengthen our communities. I've shared some of the many ways that I've learned that repetition is good, and yet this lesson is one I have to relearn over and over again. I'm still learning it today. As I draft papers for my graduate school program, as I practice mindfulness and deep breathing, as I try to remember not to use my cell phone at the dinner table. We all have something that we need to practice, to repeat, to learn again. Maybe we need to remember that ritual can be beautiful. Maybe the lesson we need a refresher on is that choosing love is something we have to do on repeat every single day. Maybe we need a reminder that rituals and community bring us closer together. At the beginning of this sermon, I shared a quote by G.K. Chesterton that celebrated the vitality and fierceness of children and their love of repetition. Because children have abounding vitality, because they are in spirit fierce and free, therefore they want things repeated and unchanged. They always say, "Do it again," and the grown-up person does it again until he is nearly dead. I love this quote because it reminds us that delighting in repetition can connect us back to the boundless energy and curiosity of childhood. This return to childish wonder brings us closer to the divine. The part about adults dying of repetition is not the end of the quote. It goes on and says, "Grown-up people are not strong enough to exult in monotony. But perhaps God is strong enough to exult in monotony. It's possible that God says every morning, 'Do it again,' to the sun, and every evening, 'Do it again,' to the moon. It may not be automatic necessity that makes all daisies alike. It may be that God makes every daisy separately and has never got tired of making them. The repetition in nature may not be a mere recurrence. It may be a theatrical encore. Here at UUS, we have the opportunity to practice repetition in community every week. We recite the chalice lighting words. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. We sing the children to religious education. Be open for something wonderful to happen. We end each service with "Blessed be." May we take inspiration from the repeated patterns of nature, imagining a God who makes each daisy and water lily separately for the sheer delight of it. May we exult in the everyday patterns of human interaction that give us space to practice loving one another and listening to one another. May our retellings of songs and stories welcome others into a stronger and more vibrant community. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. Be open for something wonderful to happen. And blessed, blessed be.
How we give, what we do with our lives, our time, and our resources is a reflection of our values. In response to the abundance we are blessed with, every week this congregation donates generously to organizations in the community whose work aligns with our values and principles. Our community partner agency this month is Inside Out Reentry Community. Based in Iowa City, Inside Out serves people returning to Johnson County and elsewhere after incarceration. Starting before release and continuing, they provide help with reentry plans, including finding work and a place to live, connecting to community resources, and ongoing mentoring and peer groups. In the sanctuary, the ushers will collect the offering, or you can follow the instructions on the screen for how to give online. All cash contributions go directly to our community partner agency. In addition to assisting our community partner, you may contribute towards your pledge to our society or contribute to the congregation to provide additional support for our operating expenses. You may also contribute by check using the memo line to designate the purpose. The offering is a sign of commitment to this free congregation, which is almost completely supported by the generosity of all who join us. As we give and receive the offering, may we be transformed by our giving, and may the world be transformed by our gifts. May what has been shared today help us more fully affirm our interconnection and live into love and justice. Immediately after the service, we gather in the fellowship hall and outside for conversation and community. Our discussion questions, which you may want to chat about during the coffee hour, are: what songs or activities do you have on repeat this summer? Is there a lesson that you benefit from learning over and over again? Our closing hymn is number 100, I've Got Peace Like a River.
Hey. All right, I invite you to rise in body and spirit as we sing together I got Peace Like a River. It's number 100 in the gray book, but the words are also on the screen. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean in my soul. I got joy like an ocean. I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean in my soul. I think that's enough, yeah? There's lots of no more words, yeah.
Please join me in the words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. All these we carry in our hearts and in our minds until we are together again. We leave you today with these words from Israel Buffardi. My friends, when you go from here, know that our hearts are always in a holy place, for we are always connected to one another. Know that deep down our hearts beat in one universal rhythm. May we each find the sacred space to hear it.
Go forth and do good things. Build a world of your imagining. Spread love everywhere you go. Be kind to everyone you know. Go forth